I'm here at the AfriCat Foundation, and stretched out behind me you can see 20,000 hectares of their reserve. Now, the Foundation's premise is to look after Africa's carnivores, in particular the big cats. They rescue these animals and they rehabilitate them, but also within this area they're caring for wildcats as well. And we're talking about cheetahs and leopards in the main. These animals, as you know, are super special, but these days, even here, even in this landscape, which looks so unspoiled, almost a perfect wilderness, they unfortunately have all sorts of threats. Now, we love these animals from our armchairs, and we don't have to live with them. The local people here do. Very often, I'm afraid, that leads to perhaps understandable conflict. And these animals in many places, even in areas such as this, are suffering. They're being persecuted. All of these traps have been collected from nearby, some designed to kill game for meat, others to kill predators. And poaching for skins is still a real problem. And AfriCat wants to address this. So it's got its reserve here to look after the animals here, but it's more than that. It's about people understanding how to live with these animals outside the reserves. And they have a whole range of ideas, innovative ideas, to make this work. Over the last 20 years, AfriCat has rescued over 1,000 cheetahs and leopards, and 85% of them have been returned to the wild, a great achievement. But now the goal is to turn their 20,000 hectare nature reserve back into its natural state. AfriCat uses tourism to support conservation and has a firm commitment to education, both of its visitors and the local communities. Tristan, AfriCat and Okonjima, it's a massive operation, isn't it?
It's a big concern. A big concern in the size and with what we deal with on a daily basis, whether it's the project, whether it's tourism, which is obviously our livelihood, where the funding all comes from. It is the park or the greater reserve area that we have, 22,000 hectares, about 200 square kilometers, whether it's bringing school groups and educational groups in from outside. It's the tourism side of things, from camping to voluntourism. So yes, it's a big concern, and it's it employs a lot of people.
Although it looks beautiful, this is in fact damaged landscape. Up until fairly recently, this was farmed with domestic cattle, and they have a radical impact on the vegetation here. Frankly, they change it so much that the native species struggle to exist. So a huge amount of work needs to be done here. For a start, it might surprise you, quite a lot of this bush needs to be removed. This habitat needs to be opened out into grassy savanna with scattered trees. Then the oryx, the giraffe, the wildebeest, the steenbok will all prosper. And of course, if these animals are prospering, then the predators that eat them will prosper too. Wayne Hansen is the founder of AfriCat, and he showed me some of the damaged environment and told me about his plans to fix it. Wayne, this is an amazing and ambitious project to restore this habitat here, which at the moment is clearly not prime African bush. How are you going to do it?
Well, we're going to have to start off by taking out the encroached species of acacia, in particular the ones you're seeing here right now. And once you've actually cleared them, you've got an area in which you can now start ripping on the contour to actually slow down the water. And once the water slows down, it puts down its sediment together with all the manure and dung from the game, and slowly but surely creates the topsoil, what we've clearly lost over the last 30-40 years of so much rain washing it off. A lot of manual labor. It's highly in need of a lot of staff to build this up. But once it's done, then every 8 to 10 years, fire, burn it, and so you keep cleaning it up and hand over to the next guys that hopefully will have the same interest and passion that we have.
And that passion is shared by all of the Hansen family, who have a deep-rooted desire to protect and preserve southern Africa's predators. Species like these beautiful wild dogs, an animal in real peril. Donna, one of these dogs is clearly injured. He's limping. What happened to him?
Kicked by a giraffe mother protecting her young. These guys are amazing. It's the first time ever AfriCat has released hand-reared carnivores, and they have adjusted well. They are hunting superbly, but this was a mistake. This was an accident somehow. This is their first injury, but they were brave. They took on this giraffe calf, and Mom got in the way, and he was kicked on his shoulder, and a real snap to the humerus bone.
But now, of course, he's getting the best of care and attention. Top quality vets and 24-hour pampering, I should imagine.
Pampering, absolutely. But you see, that's what AfriCat's all about. We interfere because we have already interfered by working with captive animals, rehabilitated animals, hand-reared animals. When our animals get injured, we definitely try and help, and we try and look at the situation as much as we can and see if it's worth the expense. And with Rex, it's definitely, he's very important in this pride of only 4. He's a leader in this pack.
What about all of the other animals, the cats? Are they collared, and do they get the same amount of veterinary care?
Absolutely. Obviously, when we release captive animals into our rehabilitation reserve, or this 200 square kilometer reserve, certain cats, maybe the weaker, that we didn't know because we looked after them all this time, are taken out by sometimes an oryx, a zebra kick, a leopard, a hyena. But we definitely monitor them, and when there's an injury, if we see the injury is of such an extent that they can maybe be rehabilitated again after they've healed, then we interfere and we get in there and we try and help as much as we can, because we're learning every day.
The animals which are in captivity, those which can't go back to the wild, presumably they're very valuable in terms of education.
Well, that's it. I mean, we have to understand that captive animals' welfare is not conservation. It's definitely a way to educate our youth, the children of the future, Namibia's next generation. When captive animals are used as ambassadors, where children can study them and fall in love with them, then it works.
Conservation isn't just about protecting animals, it's very much about education. What's equally important is making sure that the local people learn about these animals too. AfriCat now has a custom-built facility where local people can come and learn about these animals. Learn how to live with them in harmony. Consequently, we can be assured that they have a future. And that means starting young. AfriCat has just built a fabulous new school for all of its employees' children. And conservation, looking after the environment and living with predators, is firmly in the curriculum. One of the ways that AfriCat supports its work is through Okonjima, and Okonjima is a luxury lodge set here in this landscape where you can come and visit. It's got all the thrills and spills of high-end comfort. But more importantly, it's here, and you drive out into this landscape, and with the guide's skill and knowledge, you learn all about how it works. You engage with those cats. I mean, this is the place to get fantastic photographs, if that's what you're after, of cheetah, of leopard, of caracal, perhaps even of wild dog, not to mention all of the other game. But it's not all about the big charismatic carnivores. Understanding how all of the little creatures play a role in the ecosystem is equally important, and the guides are keen to tell you about it.
I can actually see that this is an active termite mound simply because there's a lot of fresh mud on the side.
Okay. There are all sorts of things that you can do when you come here. Perhaps the most exciting of all is tracking some of the animals on foot. So you're out of the vehicle and in the landscape. You can feel it, you can smell it, you can really engage with it. And if you're really lucky, you might come across cheetah, wild dog or hyena. Sometimes, if they're resting and content, you can get really close to them. Pause. People and Wildlife Solutions is AfriCat's voluntourism project. So if you feel like really lending a helping hand, then maybe this is for you. Mornings are spent helping maintain the habitat, or perhaps working on the fences. The rest of the time is safari time. And just because the sun sets doesn't mean that the action stops. The porcupine hide is one of my favourite treats at Okonjima.
So these guys we have here are the Cape porcupine. They're the largest of the porcupine species. Overall there are 7. These guys here will normally live till about 30 years old. They're actually, from birth, are very, very well developed. So they're born with their quills and their spines intact, with their eyes open.
Many visitors to AfriCat and its website are kind enough to support the work here with a donation.
If people adopt animals at AfriCat, the money goes towards the upkeep of the animals, so for feeding and health checks. And once they've adopted and the payment has been made, they will receive a certificate like the one you can see on the screen to my left. Also updates on how the animal is doing here at the Carnival Care Center. We really appreciate your support here at AfriCat, and adoptions make perfect Christmas and birthday presents.
All of the funds that you contribute through your visit here go towards this conservation. Okonjima the Lodge supports AfriCat, the charitable foundation, and it's a great partnership. When tourists visit, what's the best thing that they take away with them? What's the real key, the core of their experience here?
I think it is being able to understand that, you know, the link between education and conservation is so important. And clients leaving here, feeling that they've contributed and had a bit of the luxury and, you know, the nice that goes with it, the good food and, you know, a good bottle of wine and all the luxuries, but yet being able to actually contribute to the greater conservation vision of AfriCat and Okonjima.
Here's a map of Namibia, and this is AfriCat and Okonjima here in the central part of the country. But as you can see, it's surrounded by commercial farms, mainly cattle. And these, of course, have their own inherent problems when it comes to living with predators, something that AfriCat has been trying to deal with and, in fact, dealing with successfully over a number of years. But it is an island lost in all of this farmland, and this makes it quite vulnerable. Imagine if there were a fire here and all of the animals were destroyed, or a disease breaks out, or we suffer some local extinction. It would mean that it would be very difficult for these animals to recolonise the area. So ideally what we want to do is have a network of joined protected areas across the whole country. And AfriCat has started that in some way by having AfriCat North, which is up here. Now this is a very different place and it has some different problems. It's very close, in fact on the edge of Etosha National Park, a magnificent resource that Namibia has. But the problem here is that lions, for instance, move out of Etosha, where they're protected, into these community farmlands here, and this brings them into direct confrontation with people. They eat their stock, and of course they're dangerous animals, difficult to live with. So one of the principal aims at the moment of AfriCat North here is education. It's understanding what the requirements of the people in this area are, and then implementing systems of wildlife management so that the two can live together harmoniously. Ultimately, what we'd like to do is join this park and Okonjima here and here, all together in a great network of reserves. Given the scale of the country, you can appreciate that that is a tall order. A necessary ambition, though. Managing and maintaining a project like this is not easy. It's an ambitious task. It requires a lot of specialist skills, a lot of effort and a lot of endeavour. Frankly, folks, at the end of the day, it costs a lot of money as well. So if you were kind enough to give us a donation, I can guarantee you that that money will go to good, working, practical conservation. But we'd much rather that you came and saw it for yourself, because then you could stand where I am and gaze over this landscape, and you could explore it and see its riches too.